Welcome to the Talking About Life podcast. I am your host, Ian Lepkowski. My Twitter handle is at KOWSKY_ETH, as in the first three letters of Ethereum. My ENS is Kowski.eth. As always, we start the Talking About Life podcast being thankful to God, the universe, energy, source, whatever you see as bigger or higher than you, if you do see it that way. We also obviously are thankful and grateful for the guest. We always want to express gratitude. Today, our guest that we are lucky enough and grateful to have is Michael Lorez Jr. On Twitter, mlorez at Organic Group. For the handle, it's at ORGANICGROUP. Twitter bio reads real entrepreneur, hustler, grinder, music lover, DMB fanatic, and I'm thinking that's Dave Matthews Band, sports enthusiast, lover of dogs, nature, and travel. Coming to us from Alpharetta, Georgia, landscapesandmore.com. Also a link in the bio there. So, Mike, just, anything you want to tell us beyond the bio that I read for you, and then just let us know how are you doing today and how are you doing in general.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me on. Doing well today. My bio kind of says it all. And you're right, DMB is Dave Matthews Band. I've been to over 140 shows. And
Holy shit. I think I'm at like 100 or something.
oh,
I don't
cool.
usually meet people that have been to more shows than me.
That's awesome. Yeah,
140. I think you're above me there. Shit.
started when I was in eighth grade in
Oh, wow.
1999. My first show
Okay.
in
I think you
Atlanta,
got the jump
Georgia.
on me. I
Right.
was only
And
8.
okay. And I went to Europe. So I think I've seen him in, I saw him in Mexico. So I've seen him in like 6 or 7 countries. I did Germany. So I did Dusseldorf, Paris, London, and Amsterdam for the
Wait,
Europe
when?
tour. The last Europe tour. That was
Oh,
what,
last year.
3, 4 years ago.
When I was in high school, I did the Amsterdam, Dusseldorf. I think he was at Rock there, or if I'm
Yes,
pronouncing that right.
yes,
It was a music festival over there. So that's pretty
yes.
fucking cool, dude. Welcome to have a fellow Dave fan on, bro. The Dave fam is Dave Love. It's similar to the Love and the V fam, bro. It's another very positive community
Very,
of people.
very true. Absolutely. Yeah, I think definitely a lot of correlation there. Um, and I've always found that, I mean, Dave's lyrics, just to me, like, just the depth level of the meanings behind the music. Of course, the music itself sounds awesome, but then you combine it with badass lyrics that
Right.
really make you sit back and think and wonder.
He's
Really,
spiritual.
yeah, exactly. I mean, really, in essence, kind of like Floyd or even Zeppelin. I mean, the Beatles, like that's what made them, I think, so
Soul.
iconic.
There's a
Is like,
soul to it.
yeah, it moved you like both emotionally and intellectually.
100%, man.
Yeah,
So, like I said, love to have you on here. Love the Dave fam. I love Zeppelin too. Like I'm, a little bit younger, so that's kind of coming from my parents' kind of stuff. They got me into
yeah,
that. But Dave, I went hardcore, obviously seeing live because he just still fucking tours like crazy live.
yes,
Yeah, I've seen plenty of shows. But let's hop in here to learn a little bit more about you instead of
yeah,
geeking out about Dave, which I could do for the
yeah,
whole hour. But
yeah. I can
but
too.
let's learn a little bit more about you here. So, the number one thing here, you got it bolded, REAL, or sorry, capitalized, real entrepreneur, hustler grinder. So what are you entrepreneuring at right now?
Yeah. So, and I think the reason I put real there, and this was, I think I wrote that, multiple years ago, but I remember Gary like had a Gary V like during a time period was kind of like talking about how a lot of people posed on social media to that they were entrepreneurs. They would pose with money or pose with a plane or a car or whatever that may not
Right. They
even
do the thing
necessarily
where
be
they
your,
rent out
yeah.
the fake private jet booth. It's like in the middle of a
Y-
mall. It's not they're not really
Yeah,
actually in the booth. Yeah.
exactly,
Crazy.
exactly. And so when I saw when I kind of saw that theme, I was like, you know what, I need to put real because I actually am one. And when I was basically, it all started when I was 5 years old, and although I'm not an immigrant like Gary, I feel like I have a lot of similarities in how he was raised and kind of his value of how he values, hard work and putting your head down and just grinding away. And so at 5 years old, I wanted to play t-ball. My dad then taught me the value of working to earn money, taught me spending, investing, saving, and of course, buying things that you want. So at 5 years old, I wanted to play t-ball. My dad's like, "Great, all right, well, but like, what do you need for that?" Well, I guess I need a glove and maybe a bat and a ball, And he's
Right.
like, "All right, well, how are you going to get it? What are you going to do to get that? I'm not just going to give it to you." And he was raised on a farm in South Alabama in the 50s on a dirt road with 11 brothers and sisters. So he wasn't given anything in life. In fact, he barely made it out of, being an infant, just fighting for survival. So, really brought me up with that kind of mentality of, I'm not going to give you things, I'm going to make you earn it. And so the first jobs, were washing the car or mowing the lawn and the things that kids normally do as chores for allowances. My dad didn't really believe in allowance. He just believed in you work, you get paid. And so there was always that balance. In fact, he would even put my friends to work. So they would come over. We were going to go to the roller rink or, go swimming or something. He put us to work for a few hours. Now he paid them too, but if they came over, they had to be ready
It's
to go
funny.
pull some weeds or
He's a
something.
real Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, yeah, and so just doing all that through like my childhood, finding, then I would be asking them for jobs like, "Dad, what else can I do? Like, can I go cut that tree down or chop some wood or."
Right.
So I'd always be looking for stuff to do, and
But he
when
would pay your friends and not you.
no, we'd pay all of us. Everyone got
He paid
paid.
you too.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was equal opportunity. So
Okay.
there's
I
no
thought he would
no
just like pay your friends and be like, "No, you're my fucking son.
No,
This
no,
is
no,
for
no.
your
That
living."
that's the whole point. Is like he would put me to work, but
But
it
you
was
would
really
earn it.
kind of optional because I would earn, and then I'd go buy the glove or I'd go buy the ball or and I did
Right.
that growing up, and we lived on a couple acres in Dothan, Alabama, and so we got a tractor, to cut it because we originally had like a push mower and it's just way too much, and so. Um, with the tractor, so this is kind of like my first entrepreneur move with my tractor. I was like 7 or 8 and I wasn't heavy enough to hit the spring for the safety switch. So the,
Right.
the tractor wouldn't drive with me sitting on it because I wasn't heavy
Oh
enough.
no.
So I convinced my dad to pay me $35 to mow the whole lawn. And then I hired my sister, who was a year younger than me, for
Hey,
$5 to sit on the back of it. So the two of us weighted it down enough where I could drive the tractor around.
there you go. That's fucking dope, bro. You're both
Yeah.
Tom Sawyers.
Yeah. And then we moved to Atlanta, Alpharetta, actually Roswell, Georgia, but Alpharetta, Roswell, they're next to each other, suburbs of Atlanta. And I was 11, so I was going into middle school. And I moved into a neighborhood. The street I grew up on had 8 houses, and then I moved into a neighborhood with 492 houses. And as
I
we're
was gonna say eight
driving,
houses. Holy shit! So this is like real rural, like lots of space, acres between the houses, kind of deal. I've
yeah,
been in the suburbs my whole life in cities. I can't even
yeah, yeah.
even
It
fathom
was
it.
it wasn't super rural, but not far out of the city limits. It was rural. It's a small
Well,
town,
only
Alabama,
8 houses?
of like
Wow.
60,000 people. Yeah, and then
So
it was a
shit.
nice road that had like everyone had at least like 2 to 5 acres. So yeah, it was like 8 houses
Yeah, you
on
guys
like
had some
each
space. That sounds
nice
nice, man.
lots. Yeah, I mean it was a because I had all kinds of woods to play in. It was great. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but then, moved up here when I was 11. Drove through a neighborhood, 492 homes, and all I could like think about was like dollar signs. I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm just thinking mowing lawns, cha-ching, cha-ching,
Hey,
cha-ching, you know. And so I asked my dad to borrow some money because I wanted to start a business. So I borrowed like $800, got like a lawnmower, the weed eater, edger, like everything I needed, and started going around knocking on doors. And I forget how quickly I paid him back, but like within a couple months. I'd earned that money, paid him back, um, and really just did that kind of throughout middle school and high school. just
That's
mowing
gangster, bro.
lawns.
So you went from
Yeah.
mowing 7 lawns to basically 70 times 7 lawns.
Yeah,
Like it's a
yeah. So,
70x.
so right. So now, so I started a professional landscaping business. My name of the company is Michelangelo Sustainable Landscape Design Group.
Hell yeah.
I was in high school. I, incorporated, got professional equipment. Like basically, I did all the childhood thing that I had always done with like little, I kind of call them like rinky dink little businesses, right? Little lemonade stands, right? And I
Hell yeah,
turned them
dude.
into
That
a
Gary
professional
shit.
business. I've been doing it now 20 years, and last year we did around 5 million in revenue of 40 plus
Holy shit.
employees. Um, and so it took me a long time to get there. It took me 20 years. I
Yeah,
went through
yeah.
the
That's fucking
financial
impressive though.
thanks. I
You're
went
welcome.
through the financial crisis 2008. Just had to almost I survived, but I had to start from ground zero all over again. That was a huge crash. Um, and yeah, so I just feel that connection with Gary from like just that grinding. It took me a long time to get over the hump to really start making some money. I've mowed tens of thousands of lawns, but I've been out of the truck now for about 10 or 12 years. So I was finally able to elevate myself up from being the first guy to mow the lawn to
Getting
now
the trucks out of the drug.
now I'm sitting at CEO of about 45 people.
Let me ask you this. You kind of touched, like you said, 2008 was kind of devastating. That's
Mm-hmm.
common for a lot of people that were in business at
Yes.
that time.
Yeah.
What did you do to get through that? Obviously, it's a success story. Obviously you're here, you survived, you're good. But what did that look like, at the time? Because I'm sure you weren't like as smiley about
No.
it then.
No. So I was like 23 at the time. I've been in business like 6 years, 5, 6 years. I had my own house. I moved out when I was 19, bought a house, and I was on my own. And basically, I still
You bought a
remember.
house at 19
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
lawn mowing
from the
and
lawnmower.
the
Well, that was,
lemonade
and this
stands and
now
other
keep
shit
in
like
mind,
that.
this was back when, as long as you
Fucking
could,
G shit, bro.
but
I
this
was
was
buying
back,
weed at 19.
yeah, this was back
But a
when
house.
if you fogged a mirror, you could get a mortgage prior to the 2008
Right,
crash.
right,
So
right,
you could
right. That's
basically
also
just
part
call
of
up a
it.
mortgage company and be like, "Hey, I make 300 grand." Whether you
You're
make
alive and
300 grand
breathing.
or
You're good.
like that,
They're like,
that
sounds
it
good.
was, it was literally that way. It was called stated income mortgages, and like people
Uh,
literally just stated whatever their income was. There was no verification, and so that allowed me to get into a house because I was still running a business, but I wasn't like making a lot of money or showing, but I could make the payments. And yeah, so basically, I remember because I called my parents and I was just like, I was breaking down crying because I really never relied on them really for a long time. Like really ever since I was like 11, I was really kind of very independent and did my
right,
own
straight
thing,
hustling.
right? And I was 23 and I was basically like looking at bankruptcy and I called him, was like, I need help. And just like started breaking down because it was just like, it was just too much. And, just like any good parents, they were like, that's what we're here for. So they helped
Of
me.
course,
They helped,
especially after you
yeah,
were fucking killing it the whole time. You never asked
yeah,
them for help, bro. I'm sure they were proud as fuck
yeah,
of you. Like, of course you got you. I'd
yeah, yeah.
imagine. I mean,
Yeah, so they did. That's what they did. They helped me through, because it was basically winter time, right? The market crashed in 2008, and it was basically like going into winter, which is really bad for mowing lawns and landscaping. And of course,
right,
everyone, their brothers, like losing their house, losing their job. Like it was, like you said, it was devastating. I I'd be
right.
surprised.
If you
I
can't
mean,
afford eggs, you're not cutting the grass.
yeah,
You're not
yeah,
paying extra bills.
exactly. And I'd be surprised if many people who went through that in any sort of industry, could say like, "Oh, it was perfectly fine for me." I mean, I'm sure
Right,
there's
it was the
some
best of
some
times.
little veins in there
Liquor
somewhere.
industry probably did pretty
Yeah,
well, usually
yeah,
during those times. That type of shit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that's,
There's
I
wait,
mean, and
real quick.
basically, yeah, yeah.
There's a theory out there that says that the illegal narcotics market, the billions or trillions of dollars that generates, that's the only thing that actually kept the underlying U.S. economy alive in the 2008 crash was like the actual movement of drug money because that was the only people like motivated enough that like were unaffected. Like they're like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I was fucking I was like living in the streets, like doing weird shit for money anyway, but it's same shit. I'm still in the streets. Like, just, you know what I mean? It didn't affect their business at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I don't even know where I heard that, but I thought it was a very funny thing. I
That
enjoyed hearing it.
that is
True or
funny.
not?
Yeah. No, it is funny. I mean, obviously, like everyone, well, it was kind of like what's happening now. Like the banks were collapsing, things were consolidating, everything was happening fast, and really there was a whole group of people that were in mortgages that they couldn't afford because stated income. Like, yeah, I make this much money, give me a house,
Yep.
right? And then there was a lot of people that were also rates were extremely low, and they would get into interest only mortgages. So there's hardly any like short term. They used to call them ARMs, like 3, 5, 7 ARMs, and so they'd be these like short term loans that would be interest only for mortgages. They hardly do those anymore because basically you're not paying any principal and people would just pay interest only, and they
Right.
like reach for a house they couldn't really afford because they're just paying interest, so they didn't have to make a big payment.
Right.
And basically that's so those were
Ugh.
subprime, and then of course those things got packaged up, sold to the world as like AAA rated bonds from the US when really they were just junk. And so all
Yeah.
that imploded. And so, you had a lot of people losing their house because of it. I survived. I was able to keep my house and keep my truck and stuff like that. But it was tough. And so I basically went back to one person. And so in 2009, that next year, I only did 180,000 in revenue. So I grew from 180,000 in 2009. 14 years later, we're at 5 million.
That's pretty fucking G, dude. So let me ask you, like, obviously it's a fucking wonderful journey, dude. I think that's incredibly inspiring. Like, you're kind of a good example. Not kind of, you're a good example, in my opinion. You're a great example, similar to Gary Vee, whether there's the exact same, but like the hustler story, bro. Like you said, real entrepreneur, American dream, bro. Fucking grind, buying a fucking house at 19, bro. Unheard of between me and my group of friends, bro. No one's doing that. So dude, congratulations. That's fucking awesome. Where does that put you at now? Like, you're successful. Like, you can kind of, I think, maybe have more flexibility to make other decisions you couldn't earlier in life, kind of thing. So, like, what is the world to you? Like, what are your endeavors? Like, do you want to sell your business at some point? Like, do you want to, expand it to even further? Like, where are you at?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's every entrepreneur's dream to have an exit at some point, right? That's kind of like the big payday,
Right.
and it's growing the business up to a point where it's worth something. When I first started, I had a partner for the first 2.5 years, and he and I didn't see eye to eye and split up. And during that time, we had worked a lot and we had a lot of sweat equity, but we didn't really have any value of anything. The business was small, it was $300,000, and there was just nothing to really sell, or nothing to
Right.
really get value out of. So
Or you
so
sell it and it's not long term. Yeah, not a
yeah,
good idea.
yeah, exactly. And so building up, and doing something like some sort of exit at some point when the time is right, when it makes sense for me. Um, and what that means, in the future, probably still being in business, getting into some other business, or maybe the same business. I don't know really. But I think at some point, kind of pulling the register, and saying, all right, um, you know, but I think I'll always continue to do something. And the other ideas too. I'm not sure if I want to continue to grow it to a massive scale. The industry is really hard because it's labor driven, and as you know, labor shortage in this country, and so
Yes and no. I mean, now with people kind of the unemployment, there may be an abundance. So, I mean, that's
yeah.
one thing to think about. But
Well,
yeah,
it's just, what are people willing to do the sweaty work,
right.
right? And
Well,
and
I mean, when push comes to shove, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, bro. All these companies laying off 20%, 10%,
yeah,
5,000 people. So I don't know if it's hit them yet, but when that unemployment ends and they don't have a job, maybe they'll hop on some tractors. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe,
yeah.
or maybe America's even lazier than I fucking think, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly changing as far as the work ethic, and that's
Right.
the younger generations, like my generation and younger. I'm 37 now. I mean, it's hard to find people that want to work hard. And
We're in a
and
weird
it's
gap because, like, in 3 years, Chat GPT will be driving the lawnmower,
Yeah, exactly.
but we're not
think
there yet.
I think that yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some revolutions there. Of course, with as you see how fast it's changing everything. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, I think I continue to invest. I mean, I invested a lot in Gary's NFTs. I've been stacking crypto since like 2018. I just so happened to kind of plug into Gary. I think I've been following him for about 7 or 8 years now, but then I happened to plug into him right around the time before he launched VFriends, and I had no idea what an NFT was. I did have a decent bag of Ethereum, which I got, a
How
couple
did you
hundred.
get into Ethereum? How did you get into that early? I need to stay connected to people who did that. Like, how the fuck? Like, I heard that
Yeah,
not early enough. So how did you hear about that to begin?
I honestly been hearing about Bitcoin since like you could just mine it on your personal computer, and
And it just caught your interest?
oh
Like, you were
yeah,
like, let me fuck with it. Because I
oh
heard about
yeah.
it too, bro. But people were like, I was like, what's Bitcoin? And they're like, it's this internet money you use to buy like child sex slaves. I was like, whoa, I don't want that. Like, that's how it got sold to me. So like, what do you?
Right.
How did they? I'm assuming that's not the pitch, and you were like, all right, I'm in. Like, they must have pitched it to you different. Like,
Yeah.
how did
No,
you
it,
come
it was
across it?
really self interest. But I tell you, like in a way, I do regret I never did enough research on my own to get into it early. Like literally, when you could have done it like on your you could have mined on your
I know,
laptop,
dude.
right?
I could have. I thought about it. I was like,
And
it's stupid.
yeah, and I never and I kept being plugged into it, and years would go by, and I hear about it again, and then I'd hear about it, and it come up in the financial market news and stuff, because I'm plugged into that, and I'm like, how the fuck can I buy this shit? Like, I want to buy it, but where the fuck do you go? Like, you
Right.
don't just go to
You don't
Fidelity,
go to the bank, right?
like you can right now. I think you can actually.
Now
I have a
it's big.
Fidelity account, and I went to open up a new one the other day, and it was like, "Do you want to open up a crypto account?" I was like, "What?
Oh, nice.
Like it's
Yeah, I put
crazy."
myself on a wait list. Yeah, they must have rolled that out. I have the
Yeah,
Fidelity thing too.
yeah, and
Chase, I think, JP Morgan, I think,
yeah,
Venmo even has fucking crypto.
yes.
Everybody's got crypto. You
I,
can
I
buy it at the gas station.
I'm trying to
Not
think.
really.
I'm guessing maybe Coinbase was the way I got in, and that was like 2018. It was really like right at that frenzy moment where Bitcoin skyrocketed 22K and then crashed really quickly. And I just started accumulating, and I don't know, I guess just because of proximity, Bitcoin to Ethereum just started,
Right.
and I
That was
started
your beginning. That
researching
makes sense.
like what Ethereum was, and smart contracts and yada yada yada. And so I kept buying, and yeah, so I think I had like an average buy like
Brilliant.
around 200-300 somewhere like that. And by the time Gary launched, it was like
$200, $300 per Ethereum?
yeah, yeah. And when
Shit.
Gary launched, it was what was it running up to like 3,400 to 4 grand like per
Yeah,
Ethereum
dude. Yeah, dude.
in that time. And so I just had plugged in to Gary maybe a month before VFriends, and he kept talking about it and said, get a MetaMask wallet, do this and that. And I'm like, I don't what the fuck for? I have no idea what the hell this guy is talking about. I don't know what a non-fungible token is, but he just kept saying that and kept being persistent about it. I was like, all right, I follow this guy, like I believe this guy. I mean, I'll do
Go
what he
roll the
said.
fucking
I'll
dice.
do what he says, but I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Take a
And
gamble.
he
Put it
ran.
all on black.
Yeah, I think I went into it with a bag of like 15 to 20 Ethereum, and when they launched the first day, I sat there for 24 hours looking at that shit, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't understand. What are all these characters? What does this mean? What is a core? What is a spec? what is all this shit?
Right. It's very confusing when you first look at it. There's so many things. I agree.
And I'm like, I don't know what character to get. I don't know. I have
Right.
no idea. I have no
Why
idea.
would
I've
I
never.
get this one over this? There's 200 of them. Why would I get this one over this one or this one?
I said,
Analysis paralysis.
yes, that was what, a 3 to 5 day event. So 24 hours I sat there on the couch looking at that shit. And then finally I was like, I got to do something. And it was the first set of auctions, like kind of coming to a close. Everything that had hit the floor was on the floor. New stuff was about to launch the next day. And I came across a hologram decisive duck. And then I was like, all right, if that's not a sign that I need to make a fucking decision, I'm going to get a decisive duck. And so I did. I bought a hologram decisive. And then it was like fucking the floodgates open. I minted 15, including the gift goat. I reached deep in the pockets. I ended up spending 34 Ethereum total. So I ended up buying at market prices another 15 or so. But the more I kept sticking around for that mint, and the more, I think I have like 6 specs. I've got the whole rainbow. I've got gift goat, a lot of the green ones. What are those, epics? And then some very rares and a couple cores. And yeah, I just kind of kept hanging around that week, and Gary talking. I was just like, fuck, like, all right, I'm just doing it.
Great decision, bro.
Literally just
you got the right instinct.
So I tapped out. And
I'm turning notifications on for you, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And I got them all at floor, right? I got my gift goat at 5. I got everything on the floor, all my specs. I mean, I think maybe one I paid like 3.2, right? But like their floor was 3
compared to what it is now, dude.
Yeah. So last summer that portfolio,
actually what it was. I mean, now it's like, but still.
Yeah. At the peak last year.
But still, you would still be up. Even after all the people that went up and down and ended up low. Right. I was going to say, you're still up. So.
I'm still up. Yeah, I'm still up. Like,
I say you can't complain if you're up, even if you're less up than you were. If you're up,
no, for sure. For sure. I do, that peak moment when it got to a 7-figure.
Did you sell any? Did you had somebody, you didn't let one of them go?
Dude, I have every one of those. I also, book games. I got
every single day
$15,000 worth of books. I just jumped in. He was like,
"What'd you do with the books? Where are all those books?"
They're in the fucking garage. My wife hates me for it. I actually found a guy on Twitter who wants them for free. I just got to get to the post office and send it to him. He gives them away when he drives people around in Uber. So I was like, I don't want them to go in the trash, but I want them to go somewhere.
Yeah,
and there's only so many copies you could drop off at a library,
Right.
But yeah, so I guess I ended up with I think I have like 50 V2s and like around 100 something book games, and I haven't sold a single. The only thing I sold, so you don't know this, but I just bought my access to Dinner Deer on April 3rd. I'm flying to New York to have a dinner with Gary.
Hell yeah, dude.
And because my daughter's having surgery, I sold all of, except one, I just kept one. I sold all of my 2023 VCon tickets, and that paid for my dinner with Gary.
Woo! Hell yeah, dude! Congratulations.
Yeah,
dude.
Thanks.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
dude. What are you gonna talk about? Like, what's the like? Have you even thought about it yet? Like, my first thought would be like the Men in Black. Like, I'm just like, holy shit, did that happen? Did I just do that? Like,
yeah,
I would be there for a bit. Are you still there? Or are you?
I'm really still there. Like, I'm still there a little bit because I'm a goat. I have seen him in smaller settings. Because we did that event with Shaq in Atlanta, and right. I actually got a hug from Gary at that event, and so I've been around, like I've seen him enough. Like I think now I'm recognizable. I think I know he's got a really good memory. In fact, he just a very good memory. He just posted like a video yesterday of a guy betting him $100 if he remembered him. And then we did the gift goat cooking session. So I did that and was talking to him. And then he told me to go watch his Hot Wings special, or the Hot Ones,
Yeah,
that
yeah, dude, he
podcast, right?
crushed it. Gary
He
V
did,
on
he
Hot Ones.
did,
I
he
watched
did,
it. Of course
he
I did.
crushed it. So he's like, "Have you seen it?" I was like, "No," and he's like, "Go watch it," right? So I watched it that
Great.
night, and then I used this hack. I don't know if you remember this hack. He said was when you email someone, if you're trying to reach someone, right? He said, put your entire message in the subject line, and then like they basically read it, in their
Right,
inbox.
right.
So I put this message to Gary the night of the gift goat thing. I was like, "Hey, watch the Hot Ones. Like, it was really good. Like, damn, you're badass. And you hit the chicken wing like he like off the bone because
Yeah, dude.
that's what was happening was at the chef event. It was wings, and he was like clearing the bones, and I chimed in. I'm like, Gary, like you're like you know how to fucking eat a chicken wing, man. And then he was like, yeah, have you ever seen my Hot Ones? And so that's what,
Bro, the
that's what
whole
happened.
episode, he's like, I won't be beaten by the sauce.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was really good. And he replied to the email.
It's great.
Yeah, so I don't really know. I think that I've just kind of thought about that was like, every time last several times I've seen him, last several events, when I took pictures with him at VCon, when I saw him at the Shack event, I've worn a tie-dye because I love tie-dyes, and I have Dave tie-dyes and Government Mule tie-dyes and just different tie-dyes. So like part of me was like, should I wear a tie-dye like under, because I'm sure that like helps trigger, right, the memory. And so, but
You
it's
should
supposed
see
to be,
what I'm gonna send you pictures, bro. You should see what I wear when I fucking see it. That
yeah.
painting behind me, I
Uh-huh.
wore an outfit where my top and bottom was the print of that painting that I made.
Oh wow. Well, the dinner is supposed to be at a nice fine dining restaurant, so I can't like walk in with a
Yes, you
tie
can.
dye.
Yes, you can.
You
You
can
absolutely can, bro. You absolutely can. If
in New
you're going
York?
there to meet Gary V, I believe, dude, like they say you can't. The rules are that you can't. But I would do it, bro. I would have like a fucking suit in my bag and walk in with the tie dye, and they'd be like, "You can't come in here with that." I'd be like, "I'm here to meet Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk." Like you know what I mean, bro? Like a lot of people, I don't know. I would try to flex. I would try to fucking. I don't know if you like Star Wars, bro. These are not the droids you're looking for. You will let me in. I am.
I love it.
In the tie dye.
I
I'm here
love
to meet Gary V. I would. And bro, if it doesn't work, just have a
Yeah, I'll
on your
have a
fucking
polo in the back. Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
I do shit like that. Like I'll
Yeah.
fucking take the swing. Fuck it, man. Like they'd say no. All right.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, honestly, I am still like kind of in the mind blown setting, so I really don't know. I'm curious, like if he recognizes me. That's about as far as I've gotten in my thinking. But I don't know. Do you have anything? What would you ask him?
I don't know what I would ask him, bro, because I've seen him a few times and like I've asked him different things,
Right.
and like basically, I have all the answers. I think either from me asking him my own questions or watching other people ask. Like
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I'm building a clothing brand, and like I'm not where you're at. Like you're at a totally different phase.
Right.
Like I'm just trying to get people to wear my fucking shit. Like buy a water bottle or something. You know what I mean? Get people to know the fucking name. But I have like a day job. I enjoy my day job. So I was like, I just kind of told him that and was like, what should I do? Like, and I'm like, and I kind of knew the answer, but I was like, so basically it's just keep going, keep putting out content, but like, accept that like the goal is to basically crescendo for me to put out as much content as I possibly can without burning myself out, and
Right.
keep trying to push that meter forward where
Right.
I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing, trying to do more every day, but not going so far I break. Like, so that was the answer I need, bro. And like, bro, he's like, that can take you 5 to 10 years. So like, I'm good. Like, I don't
Right.
really have another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like other questions would be like, maybe if I was at dinner, I would pull out my website and I'd be like, dude, what's your favorite design? Or maybe I want to send him one. Or like, dude, what would I have to do for you to let me make hats for V Friends? Like officially.
Right.
Like I've made a couple of my own personal ones because like, fuck it, bro. Like I make clothes and like I want another hat. I'll just make one.
Right.
I can't
Right.
sell it. I don't own the IP, but like legally you could just make your own thing. I asked people on the team, they were like, yeah, like you can't sell it. You can't. I was like, okay, cool. But for you, I don't know, bro. Like maybe ask him what he would do, like Gary, like ask him what he would do in your shoes, basically, like Gary, I'm here. Tell him, roughly the story you told me, or like TLDR. I don't know how much time you have for the dinner, but like as much as you could get out, like effectively, maybe write it out, bullet point it, and be like, I've built up this fucking business, bro. I'm a fucking hustler like you have this whole thing. You want to build like a fucking probably defense Disney World theme park type thing one day.
Yes.
I'm not at the point where I want to fucking go that with with like the landscaping. So like if you had reached all of that, what would you do? Like would you go to another business? Like would you start going way, and I don't know in your story, like have you traveled a lot? Have you tasted the world like enough? Like maybe
Yeah.
get from him what he would do or something like that. Like what's next? Like, dude, whatever questions you're sitting there asking yourself right before you go to sleep every night that you don't know the fucking answers to ever, and they come back every night, ask Gary. Like,
Yeah.
like what are those for you? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, I think that definitely makes sense. I think, um, I think that a lot of my insights will probably come like from the dinner too, because I've heard that
right.
the group of dinner deer
It's a
guys
fucking
are
vibe, dude.
yeah, and kind of playing off of that for sure, because I think like you, a lot of questions that I would maybe ask, there's so many people that ask questions, and you hear them all the time. You hear
You've
his
been watching
responses.
for 8 years. Like
Yeah,
I've also been watching for eight
like
to
yeah,
ten years, bro.
it's
I was
you're
at his first shoe release. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I was with him before people even knew what a Be Friends or finance was. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
so I've heard a lot of it.
yeah, right, and then on top of that, like when I was at the Gift Goat thing, I was in line to ask him a question, him and Shaq both, and man, I thought about it I had like 45 minutes to think, and then I think I ended up on like my third question, like I'm gonna ask this, and then I'm like, no, I'm gonna ask that, and then I finally asked something
I
else.
do the same thing.
Which
I do
actually
that when
ended
I'm
up
ordering food at restaurants too.
yeah, which actually ended up being cut and put into his content, which was pretty cool. His answer was put
great.
into content.
I had the same thing happen for me at a wine event.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
It
Yeah, it makes you feel like it.
It's like a hug.
But yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't think I have anything top of mind right now, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Well, as I told my wife, like it's once in a lifetime, and I'm literally flying up there, having dinner, flying back, just
right.
getting it done. But I couldn't. I couldn't pass it up.
Bro, go see some shit in the city. You're gonna be in New York City, bro. I'm from New York, bro. Don't. I mean,
I definitely love the city. I'll have a little bit of time before, but I actually got to get back to Atlanta because I'm going to the practice round at the Masters the Wednesday before. Oh, nice. So that's a pretty big deal, and I got a friend flying in for that, and then the next day the Braves home opener. So I'm kind of doing
nice. So you're into sports and
a lot
like
of stuff
too.
back
like
to back to that.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you should try to fucking buy the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Ask him, Gary, what would you do if I fucking said right now it's me versus you?
He's got a pretty good head start. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I mean, your question about I've traveled a lot, and I love traveling, and my favorite trip was my honeymoon with my wife. We went to Asia and we did Hong Kong, Bangkok, outskirts of Thailand on an island, and then Singapore. It was pretty awesome trip for a couple weeks. But Europe and I haven't done Africa or Russia or India, or South America really, but I've done like Central and a lot of cruises, so a lot of Caribbean islands and things like that. But
nice.
Now I get young kids, and so that kind of makes it a little bit harder to.
Is there anything you hunger for? Like, is there anything missing for you? Like, you always want to go skydiving. Like, do you have a bucket list?
I've done skydiving twice.
So check.
Yeah,
maybe it's wingsuit time for you.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I always look at that stuff. I'm like, man, those guys are crazy.
They look so cool.
I
get into NASCAR, fucking
yeah, right.
Get a little race circuit going.
I definitely have those kind of things, but I think
maybe you write.
I kind of do them. Like that's the thing is
right,
like
right. That's what I'm saying. Is there any ones you haven't?
Like, yeah. Not.
Is there something you wanted to learn? Like, because that's the only thing money can't necessarily.
Flying.
You can't just buy a long flight, like learning to pilot a plane.
Yeah, nice. That's definitely been a dream of mine. The biggest hurdle has been time, really.
So that might be it, dude. That might be one of your answers to like the whole. whenever you make that transition, whenever that is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I even had a client one time who was like, he just bought a plane. He's like, I'll trade you landscaping for flight hours. And I was like, man, if I could commit to that, I absolutely would. But I feel like I'll just
Yeah,
give you
dude.
free landscaping and I'll never
And you'll
fly.
never take him up on it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
just a
Maybe it would force you to. If you gave it to him, you'd always have that aching feeling of like, "Fuck, I'm owed something," and then it would give you
yeah,
the impetus. Maybe I don't know.
yeah,
Be the
potentially,
catalyst.
potentially. We just lived quite far apart, but it's definitely something I think later in life, with the means and the time that I would absolutely and really enjoy doing because just something about flying. I've flown several times in small planes and been able to take over and fly. I even got to
Really? Oh, so
land
you have
one.
some practice.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, even
Nice,
got to
nice.
land one. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it takes a lot of time and it's expensive because you got to pay
A
for the
lot of time and
hours.
money.
Yeah, it is. It's a very, you
One of my
know,
friends who's a pilot, they go, "How's the fastest way to become a millionaire as a pilot?" He goes, "Start off as a billionaire."
yeah, exactly.
That's
I,
expensive
I,
hobby.
I mean, if I was 20, 30 years older, back in the day, like a lot of the pilots today, like they learned the older pilots, like they learned for like nothing. Like it was
Right.
cheap back then.
Or some people learned in like a war in the military or
That's
army or
right.
something like
That's
that.
right. Yeah,
Air
that's
Force
right.
kind of thing, or Navy
Yeah.
has pilots too.
But
Little
even like
Top Gun
I think
action.
like like Boy Scout, like people used to get their pilot's license being in the Boy Scouts. Like
What?
it wasn't that hard and it wasn't that much money. Where today it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
I didn't get that in the Boy Scouts, bro.
Yeah,
They told me I was a weebelo, and they gave me like something to carve. I made like a box card, and we
yeah,
were just racing
yeah. No,
cars.
it's totally changed, hasn't it? Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
That's
even
when
get
they
to
used to
drive a
do
go
cool
kart. I just
shit.
had a wooden thing. What the?
Yeah,
Get a fucking pilot's license.
I know, I know. Yeah, so um, yeah, but it's I think that kind of stuff. I mean, I definitely more travel. Like, I mean, definitely there's more places I want to go to, more places I want to see for sure.
What
Um,
about let me like is there any do you have like any like religious spiritual thing? Like do you need to go to like Machu Picchu or some shit, or you know what I mean? Like go to the top of fucking Everest or get to a base camp, like
yeah,
have a moment with God or nature or the universe or something.
no, no,
Some people
yeah,
have that.
no,
I have some sort of that. I don't know what mine is yet. It's
yeah,
100%, but
no, I think that you can find anywhere. But I do
yes and
think,
no.
yeah, yeah, I do think that going to like a ashram in India or something like that
Right.
would be pretty cool.
One of those
You know?
things where it's those giant things that they built like
Yeah,
hundreds of years ago and they're still there,
yeah,
and you're like, holy shit, that thing's giant. It's like a
yeah.
giant God statue. We don't have those in America anywhere. Like,
No,
I don't think. Or
when we were
maybe
in
a weird museum or cool museum.
yeah, well, when we were in Thailand, there was the interesting thing about Thailand is like there's Buddhists like everywhere. Like there'll be like a little statue of Buddha like on the corner by the market, and like there's fresh flowers and like people like worship the Buddha on the corner by the market. It's just it's an interesting
Do they
phenomenon. We don't.
worship him? Then they're fucking up. Buddha says not to worship
Yeah,
him.
and
Buddha says if you see the Buddha in the street, kill him, for he is not the real Buddha, for there is no real Buddha, for all is one. So think about
yeah, no,
it.
that's true. Well, and what's interesting about their culture is like it's a mixture of like Indian, Chinese, like it's like I'm not.
Not crossover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a melting pot
Cultural
of
diffusion, yeah, melting pot.
yeah. So yeah. So I'm not even sure like clearly which Buddha it is.
Right, you're right. There's an Indian Buddha. There's different
y-
depictions of the Buddha. You're right.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
Technically, there's only one Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, but there's
yeah.
many, like Santa
Yes.
Claus.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, there was, I guess, a worshiping ceremony, chanting happening at the time that we were visiting this little temple, and it was good vibrations. It was pretty cool.
You
I'd like
felt it.
to
Felt the
not to,
energy.
yeah, definitely. So instead of just visiting, I'd like to like immerse myself into something like that for like a week or two. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, just a week or two.
Well, That's about all the time I can afford at
You
this
have so much
point.
time. What do you mean at this point, bro? But we're talking about, you sell the business, you fucking
Yeah,
get
that's
into
true.
the
Well,
fucking
the kids would have
financial
to be
freedom
like
lane, bro.
older and like not, not relying on me.
Maybe give them a fucking stipend or something, bro.
Yeah,
Just give them a
be
card.
like, I'm gone for a month.
Hire like a Jeeves kind of guy or something for like
I'll see you. I'll see you next year.
I don't know about a year, but take a month, bro. Go fucking
Yeah.
underground. Put the robes on, bro. I was when I was in college. I mean, I obviously had to also go to college, but I joined this like group of Indian monks for a while. I didn't put on the robes, but like they were in the robes, and like I studied with them. Like there was a biology, I think, I think biology, but there was a professor that had a meditation and yoga club, and he was like, talk to me after class if you want to go deeper. And I was like, the fuck is that? Like, is this something weird or cool?
Right.
But
Right.
I checked it out anyway. And then he was like, yeah, like I have these dinners at my house. Like you could go to this retreat. Like we cook like Indian food. I could show you how to cook. Like and I'm like, okay. He's like, there's this group. It's called the Nanda Marga. They came over from India. They used to have this guru, Sri Ananda Murti. He was like a very positive guy. Ananda Marga is the path of bliss. So it's about how to like go through your spiritual progressions and learn and grow, but do so in a happy way, as opposed to Buddha, where Buddha was like overcome suffering and focus on suffering.
Yeah.
This was like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
as focused on suffering. It was like just a happy way.
Got it.
And then it turned out like there was this whole group. I went to retreats. I went for the weekend. So, I mean, there's definitely that shit out there, bro. There's all different sorts of things. Just be careful. Some of them are like fucking weird, bro. I saw some documentaries on HBO, the suicide cults. They try to get people to fucking all kill each other. So you got to
Hmm.
find one that's like people who are good, be friends community, DMB kind of vibes. Cause like
Yes.
not all of them are copacetic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah, I went to a lot of music festivals when I was younger, and I ran into this monk who gave me these books, and they're really interesting. So I'm kind of wondering if it's maybe along the same lines
It could be something
of what
similar.
of
Yeah.
what you were experiencing. But like in reading it, it's they believe in like these long periods of time, like these 10,000 year periods that
Yeah.
that change with the seasons, kind of thing. Every 10,000
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
kind of like a new turn of events, I guess, or a new era. Um, yeah, so it was
Yeah. I think we're in
really,
the Kali Yuga right now, or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
The era
yeah.
of destruction and like purging and rebirth,
Yes. So
some shit like that.
it was really interesting. So like you're saying, it's like it was kind of in that Buddhist realm, but like not like the Chinese Buddha.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like the Hindu kind of crossover, the Indian
Yeah.
religion a little bit. There's that thing like the Bhagavad Gita, also the Upanishads, the Veda. There's like a lot of different texts, and like some of it kind of comes together.
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
have I feel like we're alluding to it. Do you have then like you're just kind of open then to all the like you're open to something higher, or it's like a Christian kind of or something, or what? Where does
Yeah.
that come from for you?
Yeah. I mean, I was raised Christian, but I've always questioned. Like even when I was like really young, I would say to like I would ask like my pastor. I'd be like 7 or 8, right? And I was like, okay, if Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and then Cain killed Abel, well, who had the next? Like, how did life go on? Like, who?
They
Like,
had
who?
other kids,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
but I think they were still all males, so they had to fuck their mom, dude.
right,
I
right,
think that's what you're alluding to. I had
that,
that same thought
yeah,
because I'm like because they did have more than Cain and Abel, but I don't think they had. I'm pretty sure they didn't have daughters. Like if we're like
right.
I think we had that same. I don't want to don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure I was like wait. Like at the time I was more interested and I was reading it online. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, yeah. No,
What was
that.
his answer? Did he was like, yeah, they had to.
I don't think I ever got an answer, but it was like that kind of stuff where I was like, huh,
You're like, how do I
and
feel about
then
this? I
then
don't
I
want to have
never,
to do that
yeah, then I never
ever.
prescribed to the whole like Catholic idea of like you have to go through a priest to reach God, knowing that they sold places in heaven in the medieval times and shit like that. Like they're
Yeah,
like
dude.
they're obviously just an economic machine.
Yeah,
Like
a lot of
that's
times the priest was going through you to reach something else, if you know what I
yeah,
mean. You
yeah.
know that
Well,
it
that
could go
too,
the wrong
right?
way. 100%. You gotta be careful with
That's
that shit.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I basically just like kind of raised on that, and then like as I got older, then started kind of looking around and be like, okay, like is it really plausible that 5 billion people on Earth are all wrong? Or if you're a Muslim or you're Hindu or you're like, are you wrong? Like, and really, I
Right.
think I
How many
think
people
what
are going to hell, and which one?
right, and I think, and to me, that's a man-made thing, right? And that's like a way to like get control, and using fear. And I think that, to me, the one string that ties like all these religions together is they all really follow the golden rule.
Right.
And, right, treat others as you want to be treated. Like, that's really,
Yeah, or treat others as they want to be treated and
yeah,
learn enough about them to know how they want to be treated. I heard
yeah.
that's the platinum rule. That's like the
I
one
see.
step
Got
up on the golden rule. Because
it.
not everyone wants to be treated. Like if I treated everyone how I want to be treated, people would be so upset with the food I serve them because I have such a fucking hankering for hot sauce and fucking peppers, and nobody could eat what I eat. So if I'm treating everybody to what I like, they'd be like, "What the fuck?
that is
You
that
fucking
is
eat this?
true. That is true. I
Put
like the
wasabi on
I like the
everything."
platinum version. But right? It's like they
But
all
yes,
kind of,
I agree with you.
right?
That's just like a nuance. But
Yeah,
yes,
and
I
then
agree with you 100%. I
and
feel the
then
same way about religion. I
yeah,
haven't picked one because I don't like all the nuances, but I
yeah.
like that the main core of it is like, don't be a dick.
Right, exactly. That's pretty much it, right? I mean, like,
Try not to
like
be a
if
dick,
it's
dude.
like that, what's that movie like that Elon points out a few times, like where everyone in the future is like more stupid.
Oh,
Uh,
idiocracy, is it?
yes, yeah, idiocracy, right? It's like if you were in idiocracy, you could literally have a religion, right? And your slogan could just be "Don't be a dick," right?
I mean, I'm not giving up. I could be the next someone.
Yeah.
Gandhi. I don't know.
But yeah, it's I think and then I think if you also like look into each of the main religions and like look at their stories, there's a lot of similarities. So I just kind of looked at that and I'm like, there's something to me that's like,
A
things
myth.
just broke off, and things kind of created their own stories, different parts of the
It's like when you
world.
fucking play telephone, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
You
but
start off with there's ketchup in the fridge, and they're like, a bear went to like a fucking gas station in Cincinnati and murdered 3 nuns. You're like, we started with ketchup in the fridge. The fuck? That's religion to me.
so my friend, when I was in middle school and high school, was a Mormon, and one day I went with him to church, and it's Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, and they have the Mormon Bible, and so like I'm like flipping through the Bible, and like I'm going to the service, and one of the things I found interesting was like, just like Jehovah Witnesses, but the buildings don't really have windows in or windows out. Like there's really not a lot of windows. And if there are, they're like stained glass or something, so you really can't see in or out. And I'm like reading through, and I'm trying to understand, like, okay, well, who are these people? What do they believe in? And I'm like, and I'm hearing the story of like Joseph Smith, and then I'm just um, like this is the same story of Moses, but you just put it in the United States and called him John Smith. Like I'm like, you literally just stole the story and then retold it in a different way.
Bro, I mean, funny enough, this whole story of Jesus is just the story basically of like Ra, I think, the sun god of like Egypt. Like he was also like killed for 3 days and then like rose from the dead. And like
Yeah,
the same shit with the flood, bro. The flood goes back to like fucking like Anki and like Ziusudra and fucking Mesopotamia, Gilgamesh,
yeah,
bro. There's like 6 iterations of the flood story. But in
yeah.
terms of like the geological record, there was only one flood and it happened way longer ago. So every religion just kind of retells this story of the
Mm,
same flood that
yeah.
happened, I think, during like the younger, driest period or some shit. But
Hmm.
it's like a whole fucking thing, bro. It's a whole part of history. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know how much you look into this, but there's a whole part of history where there was a flood and ice age, and we're coming to find now that there was a group of people that were exploring the earth and building shit during this age and starting civilizations that had survived pre-flood that we had previously thought were totally wiped out. This
Hmm.
dude Graham Hancock's looking into it. It's like it's crazy. It's a whole other thing. You could Google it or something. But I just thought, like,
Yeah.
while we're on
Yeah.
the topic, I'll let you know about it.
No, that's really cool. I mean, I've seen some guys on Rogan talking about some stuff like that
Yeah,
too, like
dude,
the Sahara
that's
Desert,
Graham
and
Hancock.
yeah,
That's or maybe not, but he was on Rogan also.
yeah.
Love Joe Rogan.
And those are me too. I was just listening the other day, but like,
Okay.
yeah, those are just like deep rabbit holes. I haven't quite
They are
gone
deep
down.
rabbit holes.
I haven't quite
They're
gone
kind of
down.
wild. They make sense though, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, I that's
Well,
what I do with my time.
I mean,
I mean, you
gosh,
spent your time better, bro. You got $5 million revenue a year. I just fix computers and fucking like eat Chinese food.
I
But
love
I'm pretty
Chinese
happy
food.
doing it. So if we're both just as happy, we're just as good. But
Hey,
yeah, that's what
uh,
makes me happy, bro. Is fucking spending 85 hours on YouTube. People and like I'm self aware of it too. It's funny because Gary's like, oh, people watch their time Netflix. I'm like, bro, I get that. Like for people who want to build some, like I want to do both, bro. I want to build something, but like I don't ever feel like a time I wasted watching something is wasted time. Like I love stories, dude. I'm like a
mhm.
writer. I love watching Netflix. Like if I lived in an era of all these great shows and I died without watching them, and my soul was like, I'd be like, bro, what the fuck? Did you watch any of the? You didn't hear any of the great stories? You're like, you know what I mean, bro? It'd be like if Shakespeare spent his whole lifetime not reading books. I'm like, I get that not and Netflix isn't for everybody, but I'm the Shakespeare Netflix bitch. I'm gonna
Yeah,
fucking make good stories. I'm gonna make art. That shit's gonna inspire me. Like that's so. Sorry, that's an aside. But speaking of asides, let me. So I usually keep this around an hour or so.
yeah,
The end of the kind of last 10 minutes.
yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to pitch because you're kind of fucking such a gangster already. I don't know if you need people to like follow you on anything, but it is the kind of call to action. So either
Sure.
if you want people to do something for you, or you want to inspire the folk, or a quote, whatever you want to do, this is kind of your 10 minutes or so to do that. Or if not, we can just literally talk about anything. But it's your call.
Yeah, I don't really have a product to pitch. If you do want to
Right.
visit our website and boost our traffic, that would be great.
Throw it out
So
there. Tell them.
landscapesandmore.com and landscapes with an S.
And if they want, they could just click the link in your Twitter bio, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And Twitter is kind of the most active platform I'm on. I am on Facebook and Instagram, but Twitter seems to be the where my attention has gone. And
Me too.
so yeah, some followers on Twitter would be nice. But you'll I'm into the same topics that we talked about, pretty much. And but yeah, nothing really else. So we can kind of continue what we were talking about because I don't really have anything to pitch per se.
And it's at Organic Group on Twitter,
It
correct?
is at Organic Group, yeah.
Great.
I signed up for that maybe like 15 years ago when Twitter was kind of like just starting,
It's
and
a fresh
I,
one, bro. It's
I
clean.
was like, let me see if I can get this, and
You'd never
it
get
was
that
there.
today.
No,
Yeah,
you
dude.
wouldn't.
So I'll just say at Organic Group if you're listening, if you're coming in late or if you heard it beginning, whatever. This guy's a fucking gangster, bro. He's an American fucking hustler. He came in fucking born in the dirt on a farm, just staring up at the stars. Fucking found a shovel next to him, just started digging plots and shit, planting. Fucking like hopped up on a tractor one day, threw his sister behind him, hired her to the business, started fucking grinding, dude. Fucking built an empire now, is a professional landscaper. This is the abridged version. If you want to hear the long version, listen to the whole thing. But this guy's fucking great. Got into Bitcoin pretty early, Ethereum, all this shit. So, he said, hey, if he could use some extra followers, bro, you could use fucking following this guy, man. If you're out here, bro, I'm glad I'm following this guy. I would follow him again if I could do that. Double follow, bro. I told you, I'm gonna turn on fucking noties, bro. Whatever
Yeah,
this guy's doing, he's ahead of the curve, and I'm trying to fucking curve up, bro. So
yeah,
follow this motherfucker here, bro. But yeah, other than that, dude, like, so the show is about passion and positivity.
yeah,
Like, you've been killing it, we've been killing it, we've been passionate, we've been positive. We got like, I don't know, another 5 minutes here to just kind of close out. So
yeah.
anything else kind of like, what would you say to, someone in the audience who's like, they're looking at you, maybe they feel inspired by you,
Yeah.
right? But they're like, but bro, I don't have that fucking dude's level of energy. And or the host, Kowski, he's so fucking loud, he just keeps talking. Like, where do people get that energy, bro? But I want to do something. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think the energy. I think that energy is an interesting idea, right? Because I think that there's a power source, an infinite power source for us to tap, but I think it has to be inspired, right? And so if you're inspired with passion and excitement, you have all the energy in the world. Like, think about it. Like, if you're going to go to Disney World or something, you're a kid, like, you're going to go 24 hours. Like, you're like, you're kicking and screaming at midnight to leave, right? Kind of thing. Because it's fun and it's exciting. And so when you do things that are fun and exciting, you have all the energy, and you have all the energy source that you need. But when you're doing things that you're not happy with, right, that's when you're dreading it. That's when you're tired. That's when you're lethargic. So I think it's all about finding, what gives you energy. For some people, it's like being in a crowd. Other people, it's like being alone. It might be watching YouTube like you, right, for hours. So like finding that, and then if there's some way to monetize that, that would be ideal. So I think that starting a business is a nice idea. I think it's easy to misjudge like how hard it is to be successful in business. I think um, it's also easy to give up. There's definitely times where I thought about giving up. I wasn't sure what I did. Even 3, 4, 5, 6 years in, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, I never went to college like I had planned on doing. I like kind of derailed my whole path that I thought I was supposed to be on. And
That's
um,
the first correct step, by the way. The straight path is never the straight path. If you see that meme,
yes,
it's supposed to do this.
that's
So
right. That's right. And
once you step off the path, you're on the path.
yeah, exactly. So I think like what Gary says about being patient and like building for 10 years and not like looking up and just keeping your head down is like that's real. And I think um, maybe there's too many stories out there, especially like in the tech world, about like how quickly something could take off and like how people could just be, overnight instant success because they had an idea or
Crypto
whatever.
billionaire.
That's not real. That does
It
it.
wasn't real for Sam Bankman Fried, man.
That's right. That's right. And it's more lottery
Real
type,
messy.
shit, right? I forget what the um what the stats are for but between Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, like it took them years before they got to million users. And of course
Right.
there's an inflection point, but to get to that inflection point. And so that's where I think like everyone needs to understand is
Pace
like
yourself.
give yourself enough time to get to your inflection point. But as long as you believe in what you're doing, keep doing it.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean,
And that's where I'm at. I embrace what you're saying 100% because I had a struggle at one point where I was like not in the right balance. And for a while, I was like, I had this like, maybe insecurity, doubt about like, I don't know if I want to do what I'm doing if it
mm-hmm.
doesn't pay off and if I don't make it. So then I had to adjust it to be like, okay, I have to forget about that kind of for a second and think, what do I need to do to enjoy every day? And once I have that foundation, like I'm good day to day. I mean, for the most part, you have a bad day, whatever, but like I'm good day to day. And then how do I then add into the balance? I'm going to do a little bit more. So for me, like you said, it's that incremental and slowly building up the add a little, like add another straw, another straw, another straw. And then one day you're carrying a whole fucking bale of hay, but you start with a
Right.
straw at a time. I think that's what you're saying. I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just trying to make it a picture.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think that I think that it's important to believe in what you're doing. I mean, I
Of
think
course.
because if you don't believe in what you're doing, like why are you doing it? So
Right.
if find that. And I guess like Gary says, like you just got to try different things. I mean, if you don't really know what you want, you just got to go out there and try different things. Like you got to eat a bunch of food until you find what you like, right? So
Right.
that kind of thing. I do have one question for you. What Dave shows are you
Yeah, yeah.
planning to see this summer?
I don't know because I just had a baby, dude. So I got a little 3 month old running around. Fucking. My mom got us like a bunch. My mom is like the fucking. She got me into Dave. She's the Dave guru. She's
Mm,
probably got you beat. She's probably at 200 or something,
nice.
bro. Like she's the one who's flown me out, got me in as a kid, like all this shit.
Yeah, cool.
Um, we were looking at SPAC, maybe
Yeah,
Jones Beach, maybe like the New York kind of ones.
yeah. Are
New
you in New
Jersey,
York now?
Connecticut.
Where are you
Kind of
now?
looking at. Yeah, I live in New York. I live on Long
Okay,
Island in New York.
okay. That's
About
where
an
my wife.
hour from the city. So
Yeah, that's where my wife's from. So I've done Jones Beach. I've done SPAC. I
I
wanted to
love
do
Jones Beach.
SPAC this year, but I
Back is nice too.
um
It's just
I ended
I
up,
gotta drive. For me, it's a 4 hour drive.
yeah. So it would be flight and all that for us. But my buddy and I just settled on West Palm, but just because I had a conflict for this back weekend for another event I had, but I'm planning to see him in Atlanta and then at West Palm. So 3 shows this year.
Maybe I'll talk to my mom. Maybe if she has miles, I could go to West Palm, like a quick getaway. My wife and
I,
the in-laws could
I'm
hang out with the
staying at
baby,
I'm
something.
staying at
I
the
don't know.
Breakers, which is where the band stays. Hoping to run into them.
What's the date on that? Do you
It's
know?
like
The top
late
of your head?
July, like 28th, 29th, something like that.
Okay,
It's a
I'm missing.
weekend.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see. I might. That feels good.
yeah.
We'll see.
I
All
mean,
right, we got to. I'm sorry
like
to cut you off. We got
no,
to
no.
close it out here.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm having a good time. I always am. I could always
yeah.
and that's what I also found, bro. Is like I did this whole art and clothing thing, but I found that I don't have like the drive for that, like I do for talking. So like
Hmm.
you just keep doing what you love, and then sometimes you realize, oh, I don't love this as much, and I love podcasting. Maybe in a year I won't. I don't know, bro. But I just keep doing what I love, and at least if
Yeah,
it doesn't go anywhere, I'm really fucking happy, and I have a year's worth of well, look at all I did. Like
right.
whether I want to keep doing it or not. I'm happy at things I did. Like I used to write for a video game website at one point. All those articles are out there. The millions of views I got, I fucking got those, bro. I worked in insurance. I
That's
fixed
awesome.
computers. Everyone's computer that I fixed, like they went home and fucking did what they were trying to do that they were stuck at. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just keep cashing in on attainable goals. So that to me that'll event like I'm good. You know what I mean? That was my point before. There is no making it. Like I got rid of the idea of making it. I made it already. Like and that's the
Mm,
confidence thing, bro. Like what you said. Like if you feel like, well, I don't want to do this if I don't make it, you're thinking that because you think you're not going to make it.
hmm.
So you're doing something that some part of you subconsciously goes, this is unsustainable. So that's why you don't believe in yourself. So you have to get rid of that unsustainable behavior to get rid of the doubt. And once you know, I could do this forever, then you're not like, well, what if this doesn't work out? You're like, no, I could do this forever. This is working out. This is
Yeah,
so 100%.
yeah, and I think lastly too, what Gary says about like ignore the noise.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many of my teachers, my friends, my counselors
Fuck them.
at school, right, were
Me
telling
too.
me what I was doing was a waste of time. And
Everybody's always
the
telling
only
you.
people that really believed in me were my parents. And like,
That's it.
right,
Well,
that
not
was
even my
it.
parents
But
sometimes.
I didn't care.
My mom, but like,
Like, yeah, but I didn't care, right? I just kept
right.
going. And so now I can look back, maybe if I go to my high school 20-year reunion next year or two, I could be like, yeah, you remember that thing you told me not to do? Yeah.
I did it.
Fuck
Fuck you,
you.
bitch. Little chip on the shoulder. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh man, I feel the same way, bro. I got that too. So with that fucking positive energy, we'll close out here. We kind of always close out the way we come in, just by returning it to gratitude and being thankful. So we both believe in a bigger, higher energy. So we thank, God, source, whatever you want to call it, love, information, even if you're digital, dude. I'm fine with that. Whatever, however you vibe with it, dude. I don't really give a fuck. So we thank the universe. We're grateful for the magic that brings people here, gets everybody on the show, gets people to say yes, share their passions, lessons, stories, fucking be a G, and just fucking shine and radiate. We thank you, obviously, the guests. With no guests, there's no show. We thank the listeners on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Wherever you're listening, we fucking appreciate it. If you like the show and you're listening, like, share, retweet, tell someone, go to the library and find someone reading a good book and be like, bro, what are you doing with books? You should check out Kowski's Talking About Life podcast. or some shit, bro. Whatever. I just, or maybe not. I'm just throwing out ideas out there. If you're bored, it'll probably make your day interesting. You'll have a story to tell. Anyway, we're gonna close out here. The last message we always close out on, besides thanking God, the guests, the universe, the listeners, we say it's a message from Afakasi Brand, who's another V friend on Twitter. He runs the barbershop spaces. I always throw it back to him because I started talking in his spaces to kind of find my voice, to realize I want to do my own. But his message is, if you haven't heard it today, you are loved. There's light and dark in the universe. We mentioned that, but we also believe in some sort of oneness. I said one of the names for that oneness is love. So I think not only are you loved, I think literally your energy, and that energy, a name for it is love. So you were like the conscious incarnate force of love that came from sex, which often involves love. Not always, but ideally does come from love. So you are love incarnate, and that's it. If you haven't heard it today, you are loved.